The following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Get In Loser. We're starting a podcast. You know who it is. It's your boy, Cheetah. We're doing something a little different this week. In honor of our episode today, we're all going to mention our favorite Muppets. So I got to give a shout out to my boy, Rolf.
It's your boy, Chop. Look like a goon. And my favorite Muppet is Aminal.
It's your boy, Fozzie Yoder. Or I should say Fozzie the Bear Yoder.
Rich, if there was ever a more obvious choice, it'd be Yoder's as Fozzie. You give off big Fozzie energy, you know, with your dad jokes you post every week. You know, that are like so terrible they're funny. I mean, they're great is what I meant to say. I meant terrible. They're so hilarious they're funny. But yeah, so we wanted to open the episode a little different this week, you know. I've been wanting to cover Jim Henson and the Muppets for a while now. Just because, you know, the Muppets is, you know, it's such a big thing. It's something that, you know, everybody has ties to. Everybody's got a memory of watching the Muppet Show or other Jim Henson projects. Like before the episode started, I was telling Rich that my first introduction to the Jim Henson world was Fraggle Rock. I grew up right around the era of Fraggle Rock, and I was obsessed with it. And then, you know, that's what eventually led me to finding the Muppets, and I fell in love. I was a huge fan of it, you know. So, yeah, that's what we're going to cover this week. We're just going to talk a little, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about Jim Henson, and then get into the creation of the Muppets, stuff like that, you know, talk about our favorite Muppets, all that good stuff. But, before we do any of that, fellas, how was your week? Yoder, how was everything last week with the...
Well, it's a good thing our episode's an hour long. No kidding. Because I got a short story long. I had a senior moment last week. So, when I went to the doctor's originally, and we made the appointments for the scan, the MRI, and the other scan, I had thought that, because he said the 25th and 26th, so I just assumed that was February and not March. But apparently they're March 25th and 26th. I still have... what they think it stems from is I have Reiter syndrome, which is a arthritic condition that affects your joints, but it moves. It's called reactive arthritis. So one day it can be in your hands, your legs, your joints, but now, like I said, it's in my spine. It's causing inflammation in my spine, which causes pain in my arms, my legs. Makes it difficult to walk up steps. Right now, it's really hard to walk up a step, which sucks because my apartment's on the third floor.
Oof.
So
you gotta convince your landlord to install one of them chairs. You know, you used to see in the commercials, the old ladies that sit on chairs.
Yeah, malfunctions.
Yeah, flings you off.
Yeah.
Like in Gremlins.
Yeah. I was wondering why I remembered something like that.
The Gremlins, the Gremlins will mess it and kill the lady, the actress who played Flo on on Alice.
Yes.
Right?
Oh shit! Sorry.
Mel, kiss my grits. That was my wife still says that.
Yes. When pigs fly. So I've been trying to get. My other problem is my rheumatoidologist. She just had a baby, and she can't see me till August. So now I'm trying to get another rheumatologist, and it's difficult to see because they all want referrals, and I called a couple of them, sent them referrals, and then have yet to hear from them. So I'm still in pain. The only thing I can take is Tylenol. I've been popping those.
Isn't that always how it goes? They tell you to send a referral, and then you don't hear from them for 3 months.
I told my one doctor this morning that I understand why Luigi did what he did. Not that I'm saying it's right to go kill someone, but I can understand his frustration.
Yeah, well, we've said it many times on here. The American healthcare system's garbage. It's a fucking mess, man. Too many people. You know what I mean? That's why I that's why I like shows like The Pit, man, because they make a point to like bring that type of shit up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And put it right there in your face, like show you, like, yo, it's really that bad. Like,
Yeah,
people
that
out
one
here-
guy that has with diabetes or whatever it is.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like he's $100,000 in
Yeah.
debt.
And he's like, oh, I can't pay that, so he just leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's people like that all the time. People that end up dying because they can't afford the care.
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude. It's a fucking mess.
My heart surgery that I had last year cost $90,000.
Yo, we in the wrong field, people.
And out of that $90,000, I have to pay $6,000.
Jesus, that's crazy, dude. You should just let Doctor what's his name, Doctor Beaker? No, Beaker's
Dr. Bunsen Honeydew.
That's it, Bunsen Honeydew. You
Beaker's
should just let him work
his
on you.
assistant.
Poor Beaker.
Or Dr. Malpractice.
Poor Beaker.
Or Dr. Nick from The Simpsons.
Oh,
Hi,
there you go.
everybody.
Yeah.
It's Dr. Nick.
There you go. You have one
Hi,
of those work
Dr.
on
Nick.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
You'll be all right. You might end up with like a baked potato in your body instead of a heart, but you'll be all right. All right, now I'm getting freaked out,
Nah,
man.
it's just the air.
Uh-huh.
Because they're open up the back door, so it probably
Mhm.
just worked out. No ghosts.
I bet there is a ghost in here.
Somewhere,
There's not
probably.
a ghost in here. I will kick its ass. Listen, I'm here all the time. And I'm here late by myself, so don't say shit like that. I went to the book corner on Main Street on Friday night, and I decided to go downstairs, and I couldn't find the light switches. So I went downstairs, and I found like one light switch that turned on like part of the basement. So then I'm like, oh, I'll just get my phone out, and I went in. And I was like, nah, this is an old building with old books, probably some ghost that's living in an old book or something. I remember like seeing Ghostbusters. Remember the librarian
Oh, yeah,
and
the
stuff? Like, so I'm like, nope, going back upstairs.
The librarian. Oh, yeah. I might have been a weird child because I had a few inappropriate thoughts about the librarian.
Of course you did.
About her spanking me with a ruler because I brought my book back late. I gotta make it weird, man.
Anything else with you, Yoda? Any deers?
No, I see plenty of deer. They're always waiting for me in the morning.
I bet the group is like,
Maybe they're trying to form a group to come and make a truce with you. They're gonna send their best out.
A friend of mine just hit another deer. He hit a deer last year and this year.
They're gonna offer you one of their virgins as a truce.
now you see me hop back in and slit his neck.
Yeah, you just come out covered with blood and be like, there is no truce. Just let them know what's up. Hell yeah, that'd be sick. Chop, what's up with you? How's
Oh,
life?
dude. I was I called off work Saturday.
He needed a mental health day.
Uh-huh.
No, fuck that. I didn't even admit to it. Just is what it is. Yeah, the fucking boss is up upset me. You keep me calling in. Like, all right, well, fuck you then. Take my sick time away. Never got to that point yet.
All the shit he tells us all the time not to talk shit about that place on the pod, and then here he is. Just airing out his own
How
dirty
many points do
laundry.
you have?
I got 0 right now. I went to the Bandits game on Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday? They win both?
Oh yeah, one overtime and they beat Toronto 14-9. Loving that move. But I was happy to I got interviewed by one of the radio people out there.
Of course he does.
And?
I was asking questions. Who you root for? I said Buffalo Bandits, of course. Who's your favorite player? I said Colin Farrell. That's the question. What's your favorite game time snack? All right, let's figure what is my favorite game time snack. Go around.
Fucking giant half-pound chili cheese dog.
That's what I would say. The beef.
What
hot
was
dog.
that big ass thing you told us about last time? What was that thing?
Oh yeah, that dog.
That's my answer.
The hot dog.
Or nachos.
How about
They have that. Do they still have the big, like the big nachos thing?
yeah, they do the 2-foot nachos.
The 2-foot nachos. Those were good.
Oh, they are good. Like $28.
Well,
No.
they better be good for that much money. It's a lot of nachos, though. I mean, it is. I mean, it's expensive, but it's also a lot of nachos.
But it's more awkward, and if you're sitting in the aisle, you can't really have this much room.
Right.
All you gotta do is hope the person next to you, hey, can you have my nachos?
Shit, I'd become friends with the person next to me and say, yo, man, you want in on this? You hold one end, I hold the other. We'll just go at it together.
Cheetah, we gotta convince you to go to the game.
I already told you I'd go to a game. You guys just gotta pay for my ticket. I'm cheap. But I'll go.
Oh,
As long as we could
my
all
answer
take
was
our,
hot
as long
dog.
as we could all paint on our shirt.
My answer was a hot dog.
Hot dog?
We all have to paint on our tummies though and take our shirts off.
No, is it?
That's the
You
only
put,
way I'm going.
are you the one who puts mayonnaise on the hot dog?
Hell yeah. I still
Sorry.
do.
Sorry. I'll never get used to that ever.
And
It's like a hop of fried bologna.
it is bologna.
No.
A bologna is just it's just a pancake hot dog.
No.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, but I'm not putting mayonnaise on a fried bologna.
No, the
Why
only
not?
Thing that goes in, the only thing that goes in bologna or hot dog, I'm sorry, is mustard. I don't like ketchup on.
I put ketchup and mayonnaise.
I put ketchup, mayonnaise. If I want to be a little risky, I put a little mustard in it. I don't like it because it drips out and it goes on your clothes and it ruins it.
Well, just don't eat like a slob.
It's not me eating like a
Solve
slob.
that problem.
I have ruined more clothes though. I have ruined more clothes because I got mustard on it than anything. Like without a doubt. Like, and I know it's I know it's gonna happen. Like, I just know that I'm gonna eat a hot dog in the car. It's a bad idea.
The bad idea is eating a chili cheese dog.
Plus, every time you eat a hot dog, they say it takes a half an hour off your life. So, I don't know.
Oh my
But
god.
what if you eat a hot dog with peanut butter? Because the peanut butter adds time to your life.
Give me an idea
That's a good
now.
point.
Cancel it
Cancels
out.
it out.
Nice.
It's an interesting point.
You ever seen that meme where it was like scientists say you should only eat like 4 or 5 fries your whole life, and somebody responded and said, "Shut the fuck up, nerd." I always think of that when somebody at work tells me you shouldn't be eating that. I say, "Shut the fuck up,
Well,
nerd."
if you gotta be so careful with everything you eat, then it's just I'm just gonna. I'd rather what. I'll be miserable for 80 years. Maybe I'll just be happy for 78,
Yeah,
or
fuck it.
whatever the numbers are. Right.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Also, don't eat crappy hot dogs. There are better hot dogs, right? Like Salem's hot dogs are
That's usually what I eat.
are really good hot dogs. Like, there's not a lot of crap in those hot dogs.
That's
I
usually
mean, if you
what I
eat like Ballpark Franks or Oscar Mayer or some
Oh,
crappy
yeah, your ass
processed
gonna
hot
die
dog,
early.
there are better hot dogs out there that are not gonna don't fall into that category.
Yeah, I usually eat a saline.
You know a hot dog? They say they're a hot dog, but it's not a hot dog. It's a Sam's Club hot dog. Tastes like a fucking sausage.
Yeah, it's just all the meat that fell on the ground. They fold it all up and they twist it.
I
into a
ate
hot
it. It's
dog.
like, I'm not happy with it. Shit.
Isn't what's the new club that's opening up over in Amherst?
Oh, I can't wait.
Costco.
Costco. Isn't their hot dog supposed to be good?
Apparently everything. You never seen the Costco guys? Apparently everything there is good.
I miss Hills because Hills had good hot dogs. The roller dogs.
Nobody knows what that is, old man.
Ames. I remember Hills.
Oh, okay. I take it back. Sorry. I don't
Rich
know what
might. Rich.
I don't know what
knows
that is, old man.
Wait, what is it?
Hills. Remember Hill's
Hill's.
department store?
Yeah.
They had the roller dogs.
Yeah, they had somebody. We were just talking about Hills the other day. Somebody asked me where it was, and I was like, "Well, in the Falls, it was where
It was Niagara Falls.
Burlington Coat Factory is."
Yeah.
I just
Where that
remember
T-Bag
going there to
Oh,
buy
I remember
like,
Ames.
like
I
a
remember
s-
Ames.
I remember
It's
like
Hills.
their electronics department was like as soon as you walked in, it was to the left, and you'd buy those like cool stereos that have like an 8-track and a cassette and like a record player and a radio, and it just was like the cool speakers. I just remember that's where I got my first stereo.
And 45s.
And yeah,
I think
yeah.
I was alive for the last few years of Ames before they shut down finally.
You know what the Ames,
I
you went to
vaguely
Hills?
remember. it.
Ames was the one where Wegmans is. Wegmans was Ames. They built it as an Ames and it went out of business, and then it became a Wegmans.
I remember Hills.
Vaguely remember it.
I remember Hills was red and white.
Yeah. I used
But
to be.
before it was Ames, it was there before all of that, before it was a plaza. Do you know it was there? Do you remember?
A
You
lumberyard.
wouldn't remember there.
An
You might
internment camp.
remember. The Starlight Drive-In. There was a drive-in across the street from LaSalle Senior High School when I was
That's
in high school.
crazy.
So we would go. That was that. You didn't have to drive out to Lockport. I mean, it was like they had the Alps restaurant that was there, which was a pretty good restaurant.
Yeah, I remember.
I gotta
Alps was
find a
good.
picture.
And
of
then
this. I'd love
behind
to
it
see what
was
that looked like.
there was like I think it had like 3, and my buddy lived on the street behind it. So a lot of times we would just go to his backyard and sit, and then his dad snuck out onto the thing, the parking lot, and he hot wired like one of the speakers that you'd put in your car, and he wired like a long cord so you could hear in his backyard. Like he attached it to a speaker. You just ran a really long cord like off of the thing, like so we could just watch movies for free. But it was always the worst movie. Like it was never the one you wanted to see. It was always like the wrong one.
Oh wow, that's awesome. I had to look up a picture because I wanted to know what this looked like.
I still.
That's cool.
Not that I went to it, but in Rhode Island they had a rated X drive-through or drive-in.
You went. Don't lie.
Yeah, bullshit.
You went.
probably-
You was their number one customer.
I never participated.
Sure. Just
No,
like
you-
Pee Wee Herman never did.
No, Pee Wee Herman. I don't get why they exposed that guy. It was a man in an adult theater just whacking his Peter.
I don't know, man. Some people will frown upon stuff like that. Maybe you shouldn't just be in the theater whacking your willy.
And since we're talking department store food, Kmart in Lockport had an extra restaurant.
They all had a restaurant.
Did they?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
I don't-
Niagara Falls one had a restaurant.
Oh,
I remember Kmart.
because I remember the one in Amherst. I don't know if they did, but the one in Lockport, their food was actually pretty good. I mean,
The best restaurant out of any of those stores that had restaurants, which is funny when you think about it, because you wouldn't think about any stores having restaurants now. But like the best one was the one at the Summit Mall that was in McCrory's. That restaurant was great. That was like
Yes.
where the fountain was when you
Yeah.
went in the main entrance. Right behind it was McCrory's, and they had a restaurant. And my mother would always take us there when we did our Christmas shopping. And you get a Santa glass, like you get a glass, and it had a Santa on it. My mom
Nice.
still has the Santa glasses in her house.
Nice.
Yeah, from McCrory's.
We should just do an episode where I just sit and listen to you guys reminisce. I love shit like this. I love hearing about a time where I wasn't
It
there.
was cool. Those days were cool, man.
I bet, dude. I wish I could go there.
Malls were awesome.
Yeah, I can hear
I
Cheetah in
hate
the
my
background
era.
saying old people comment throughout the episode too.
I hate my era, man. My era sucked. Well, I mean, we got like the back half of when malls were still cool, but
even what was the mall
they
downtown?
died out quick.
You had MySpace though, right?
Yeah,
MySpace was cool.
It was cool.
yeah. MySpace was pretty cool. I love.
You could build your own page.
I was basically a hacker, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah, like MySpace was awesome. You could build your own page and put music in it. Like it was like branding almost. Like you could really kind of design it your own way. That was so much better than all this other crap.
I was telling this girl at work, she's a couple of years younger than me. She wasn't. I think she said she grew up like right around the time when MySpace was like dying out. And I tell her all the time, she never believes me. I'm like, you'll never believe how hard people would fight for your top 8. Like if you dropped one of your friends out of your top 8, they wouldn't talk to you for a week. No joke. Like, it was that serious, bro. They went that hard for it. It was crazy.
Yeah,
I remember people would put, like, celebrities in their topics I've never even spoken to before. It's fucking hilarious.
when fake books first started, it was for colleges.
Yeah. Me and my buddies were one of the last ones in our friend group to finally make the switch. We stayed on MySpace till, like, the very end. Till it died out.
Poor
and I
old Tom.
cried. What?
Like, who was your first friend?
Tom. We never appreciated you, man. Now we're stuck with fucking Mark.
Yeah. Whatever happened to
Alien Mark.
MySpace?
I don't know. Tom's still out there somewhere. Just living life. A couple of years ago, I remember he was saying that he was going to try and bring it back again, but I don't think he ever did, obviously.
That and Napster.
I had Napster on my phone. Then I got switched to Spotify.
Spotify sucks.
Whatever, dude. Suck.
Oh, was your week, Cheetah?
It's pretty good. Just been hanging out. Started watching the X-Files, like I said last week. Still watching it. Pretty good. David Duchovny. What an actor, man. I love that guy. I'd follow that guy into battle. He's so charismatic, dude. And, yeah, I've been hanging out. I had dinner with my parents last Sunday. My parents and my brother, we put my mom onto The Burbs. She's never watched it before.
Do what?
The Burbs.
The Bird, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
And whatchamacallit?
The hell's that guy's name? Bruce Dern.
Yeah.
Corey Feldman. Made by the same guy, or directed by the same guy that directed Gremlins, Joe Dante. He also directed Small Soldiers, another great movie. But yeah, we put my mom on The Burbs. She loved it. She thought it was hysterical. I was like, man, I can't believe you've never watched it. I've talked about it 100 times. And she's like, well, in my defense, you do talk about a lot of movies. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. It's kind of hard to keep track.
Before Tom Hanks got serious.
Yeah. I love that movie, dude. Still holds up. Still great. So yeah, I did that. I haven't really been doing much. Been working like crazy. I worked 5 days in a row. The first time I've done that in a long time. Since probably last summer. So I've just been working.
The hotel's
sleeping. Oh, full.
Wow.
Packed wall to wall.
Crazy.
It's the most packed it's been in a long time. It's crazy.
Because you got UTA and got the
No. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I work in a normal hotel. I don't know nothing.
Works at the Holiday Inn.
Yep, I work at the Holiday Inn.
Motel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Holiday Inn. I don't even know what that's from.
It's
What
a
is
song.
that from?
It's a song from Chingy.
Chingy.
My wife knows that song, so she always says it. And I've never heard the real version of what that is. I love
that she knows it. That's funny.
Holiday Inn. I'm
Don't-
like, I don't know what that, and it probably doesn't sound anything like that because she can't sing at all. So
Rich, don't forget she works with young kids.
that's not an excuse for her not being able to sing. The funniest thing that ever happened, like, she's super intelligent, my wife, so I pick on her, but she's super intelligent. She's the smartest person I've ever met. But she has no artistic ability, so it's really funny. Like, one time we were when my kids were little, they were drawing pictures at their grandmother's house, and my wife drew a picture, my kids drew a picture, my nieces drew a picture, and my mother put my wife's picture up on the fridge because she thought one of the little kids had done it. So we left it up there for like 3 months. And then finally Maria said to my mother, she's like, that was my picture. And my mother didn't know what to do. So she was like, no, I knew. And my mother was like, you didn't know. But I appreciate the fact that you would think I was good enough to go on the fridge. But that was like, but to this day we laugh about the fact that,
That's funny.
yeah, she's good at other things. So that's what she can cook the shit out of anything. So that's more important than if you can draw a picture of a cat. So.
Yeah, I haven't been doing much though, but real quick too, before we get into the actual episode, I wanna bring something up. I was sent a post about a guy the other day from my friend Teresa. About this guy. His name is Devin. Unfortunately, he's in need of some help. He was born with this rare thing called Alagille syndrome, which basically like it attacks your liver. It's like, you get like jaundice and shit like that. My friend Teresa, her son had, I don't know if you guys remember a while back, I had her on to talk about it. But then the episode ended up getting erased because her son smacked the laptop, and we were in the main area. Whoa. We were in the main area, so
you should have put
that
that
laptop.
man. That's something like some haunted stuff, man.
So that laptop didn't take much for that laptop to, just take a little smack and it would shut down. So, but so yeah, she sent me this and asked me, and I told him that I would just read his story on the pod, and I'm gonna drop the link. I've already shared his story on our Facebook page. I've shared it on my own page. I'm going to continue sharing it. If you guys... And, this isn't a request for anybody to try and help or donate or anything like that. It's just, trying to help get his story out there. I told him it's the least I could do, so...
Good for you.
So I'm just going to read what he wrote. He said, "Dear friends, I was born with Alagille syndrome, and by the time I was 5 years old, I needed a liver transplant to survive. That transplant gave me the chance to grow up, to build a life, and eventually become a father, which is the greatest gift I've ever known. Like all transplant recipients, I have taken lifelong medications to protect my transplanted liver, and over time, those medications have slowly damaged my kidneys. In the past few years, my kidney function has declined rapidly, and today I am living with about 10% function, spending 8 to 10 hours every day on dialysis to just to stay alive. He said, dialysis keeps me here, but it is exhausting and it is not a long-term solution. And now I need a kidney transplant. Alagille syndrome did not stop with me. My 3 daughters, Luna, Layla, and Lola, also live with it. And one of my girls has already endured a liver transplant herself. I've stood in hospital rooms as a patient fighting for my own life, and years later, I stood in hospital rooms as a father watching my children fight for theirs. Hospital rooms are all too familiar to us, but so is hope, and we have learned to hold tightly to both. This chapter feels different because I am not just fighting for myself anymore. I am fighting to stay here for the 3 little girls who still need their dad, who fill my heart with so much joy and who deserve to grow up with me by their side. I want to be here for their milestones and their ordinary days, for the laughter around the dinner table and the quiet moments when they simply need to know I am steady and present. A living kidney donor is my greatest hope. A kidney from a living donor often lasts longer and functions better, which matters deeply given my medical history, and it could give me the best chance at more healthy years with my family. I know donating a kidney is a serious and personal decision I would never ask lightly. But if you feel moved to see if you may be a match, please visit my page at the National Kidney Registry to start the kidney donor screening process by clicking the link below. If donation is not right for you, sharing my story might help the right person see it, so please share it and pass it on. I survived once as a little boy who needed a liver to live. Today I'm asking for a chance to keep surviving, to keep showing up, and to keep being a dad to my daughters, or keep being the dad my daughters know and love. With gratitude, Devon Wilson. So I'm going to drop his link, the link for his donation, in the bio of our episode that we post tomorrow. And like I said, his story, the link to his story is on our Facebook page. So if nothing else, if you guys could just, share it, hopefully, the right eyes see it, and just, more than anything else, keep this guy and his family in your prayers, man. It's tough.
Will do.
And I feel, like I said, my friend Teresa's son went through it. Thankfully, he got a healthy liver, and he's, going to be able to grow up and, have a somewhat normal life as a little kid. So I figured the least I could do was try and help this guy. So, I mean, if you're feeling generous and you want to see if you're a match, like I said, the link will be there, but don't feel obligated to. Just, more than anything else, just share his story. Help it get more traction. So, shout out to Devon and his family. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick before we got into anything else, because I don't, I tend to forget I have a one-track mind, so I know I would have forgotten and I would have been mad. So, but yeah. So unless you guys got anything else you want to talk about, let's hop into.
Yo, how about the Bills picked up DJ? Oh,
yeah. Moore? Yeah, how you feel about it?
Yeah, I feel like, 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 I f I like the idea. Second rounder for him?
I mean, guy's still good, obviously. So, I know a bunch of Bears fans that are mad that they let him go.
Yep,
So,
for sure.
yeah, it'll be interesting. I heard that apparently Brandon Bean told sources close to the Bills that he's not done either. He said he's gonna try and go after somebody else too. So, hey man, you know, I think he knows that this is like a make or break for him. Like if he fumbles on like draft picks and shit again, I think he's gonna be gone. I think he knows it. Or probably not. Who knows? Maybe Terry will just tank the Bills. Who knows? Maybe we can only have one good team at a time. So now maybe it's a Sabres chance to be good. Who knows? Any Hoosers, as Chop would say.
Hey, Hooters.
Yeah, let's get into the. Like I said, we're gonna talk a little about the early life of Jim Henson. You know, some of his early shit, and then we'll get into talking about the Muppets and all that. So, James Maury Henson. His middle name is Maury. Was born on September 24th, 1936, in Greenville, Mississippi, the younger of two children of Betty Marcella and Paul Ransom Henson Sr., an agriculturist for the United States Department of Agriculture. Henson's older brother, Paul Ransom Jr., died in a car crash on April 15, 1956. Wow. He was raised as a Christian Scientist and spent his early childhood in nearby Leland, Mississippi, before moving with his family to University Park, Maryland, near Washington, D.C. In the late 1940s and later, and then they later moved to Bethesda, Maryland. He remembered the arrival of the family's first television as the biggest event of his adolescence. Being heavily influenced by radio ventriloquist Edgar Bergen and early television puppets of Burr Tillstorm, Kokla, Fran and Ollie, and Bill and Cora Bayard. He remained a Christian Scientist at least into his 20s when he taught Sunday school, but he wrote to a Christian science church in the early 1970s to inform them that he was no longer a practicing member. You know what's crazy, dude? You think about shit like that, where he's like, "Oh yeah, us getting a TV was like the first big ass adolescence memory for me." And it's like kids nowadays, their biggest one is like getting their first iPhone.
Right.
Like it's crazy how much that shit changes. You know what I mean? Like now, if you gave a kid TV, they'd be like, "Okay, so," you know what I mean? It's fucking crazy, dude. It's because kids are fucking spoiled now, and I'm allowed to say that because I'm not a father. See, if I had my own kids and I said they're spoiled, then I'd be like, "Oh, you're a bad parent for saying that about your kids." But I don't have any kids, so fuck them kids.
Jeez.
Yeah, I said it. Sorry.
All this anger.
I know, sorry.
Anger little man over there.
So Henson attended a variety of grade schools in his youth, including Hyattsville High School until it was closed in 1951. He completed his high school career at the newly opened Northwestern High School, where he joined the Puppetry Club. A Puppetry Club?
Didn't know there was such a thing.
Me either. Henson enrolled at the University of Maryland, College Park. The following fall as a studio arts major, thinking that he might become a commercial artist. As a freshman at the university, Jim took a newly offered puppetry class, mostly populated with seniors, including his future wife, Jane Nebel. He was graduated in 1960 with a Bachelor of Science degree in home economics. Henson began working at WTOP-TV in the late spring of 1954 at age 17, hired to manipulate marionettes on a Saturday morning children's show called The Junior Morning Show, until the show was canceled only 3 weeks later. This first break in the television industry was short-lived, but his talent landed him and his puppets an opportunity to continue working at WTOP-TV, lip-syncing on Roy Meacham's Saturday show. Henson's employment at WTOP-TV lasted only until August, when Saturday was also canceled, Meacham then referred Jim to the local NBC affiliate station, WRC-TV, where Henson continued performing his puppets with Jane's help. The two were eventually offered a nightly segment for which they created Sam and Friends, a 3 to 5 minute puppet show that afforded Henson much more freedom to develop his own creative work. The characters on Sam and Friends were forerunners of the Muppets, and the show included a prototype of Henson's most famous character, Kermit the Frog. He remained at WRC until Sam and Friends aired its last episode on December 15, 1961. In the show, Henson began experimenting with techniques that changed the way in which puppetry was used on television, foregoing the convention of pointing the camera at a stationary puppet theater and instead using the image created by the TV camera and lens to dynamically engage with his characters. He believed that television puppets need to have life and sensitivity. Rather than carving wooden puppets, Henson built characters from softer, flexible materials like foam rubber. His first iteration of Kermit was made from a halved table tennis ball and fabric from an old coat belonging to his mother, with denim from a pair of jeans forming the sleeve for the puppeteer's arm. Though Henson told people that Muppet was a portmanteau of marionette and puppet, many early Muppets were actually hand puppets, rod puppets, or some combination of the two. Direct control over the puppet's mouth in combination with the softer construction materials allowed the puppeteer to express a wider range of emotions and to more accurately move the puppet's mouth along with the character's dialogue or while lip-syncing to music. Commenting on his puppet design philosophy, Henson said, "A lot of people build very stiff puppets. You can barely move the things, and you can get very little expression out of a character that you can barely move. Your hand has a lot of flexibility to it, and what you want to do is to build a puppet that can reflect all that flexibility." Sam and Friends was a financial success, but Henson began to have doubts about going into a career performing with puppets once he graduated. He spent 6 weeks in Europe during the summer of 1958, originally with the intent of studying painting, but was surprised to learn that puppets were considered just as serious as an art form as painting or sculpture. So after returning to the United States, he and Jane made their partnership official, creating Muppets Incorporated in November of that same year, then marrying each other in 1959.
Oh.
Henson spent much of the next 2 decades working in commercials, talk shows, and children's projects before realizing his dream of the Muppets as entertainment for everybody. The popularity of his work on Sam and Friends in the late 1950s led to a series of guest appearances on network, talk, and variety shows. He appeared as a guest on many shows, including The Steve Allen Show, the Jack Paar Program, and the Ed Sullivan Show. Sullivan introduced him as Jim Newsom and his Puppets on September 11, 1966. These television broadcasts greatly increased his exposure, leading to hundreds of commercial appearances by Henson's characters throughout the 1960s. Among the most popular of Henson's commercials was a series for the local Wilkins Coffee Company, Washington, D.C., created for a campaign managed by advertising manager Helen Verstandig. Most of the Wilkins advertisements followed a similar formula. 2 Muppets, in this case named Wilkins and Watkins. Wilkin and Watkins, usually voiced by Henson, would appear. Wilkins would extol the product while Watkins would express his hatred for it, prompting physical retaliation from Wilkins. Wilkins might be shot with a cannon, struck in the head with a hammer or a baseball bat, or have a pie thrown in his face. The Jim Henson Company has posted a short selection of them. Henson later explained, "Till then, advertising agencies believed that the hard sell was the only way to get their message over on television. We took a very different approach. We tried to sell things by making people laugh." The first 7 seconds of commercials for Wilkins were an immediate hit and were later remade for other local coffee companies throughout the United States, such as Community Coffee, Red Diamond Coffee, La Tourine Coffee, Nash's Coffee, and Jamar Instant Coffee. The characters were so successful in selling coffee that soon other companies began seeking them to promote their products, such as bakeries like Merita Breads, service station chains such as Standard Oil of Ohio, and downstream assets of Marathon Oil. You're good. And beverage bottlers such as Faygo. Over 300 Wilkins and Watkins commercials were made. The ads were primarily produced in black and white, but some color examples also exist. Henson sold the rights to Wilkins and Wilkins to the Wilkins Company, who allowed marketing executive John T. Brady to sell the rights to some toy makers and film studios. However, in July 1992, Brady was sued by Jim Henson Productions for unfair competition, in addition to copyright and trademark infringement. The Henson Company claimed that Brady was incorrectly using Henson's name and likeness in their attempts to license the characters. In 1963, Henson and his wife moved to New York City, where the newly formed Muppets Incorporated resided for some time. Jane quit performing to raise their children, and Henson hired writer Jerry Jewell in 1961 and puppet performer Frank Oz in 1963 to replace her. Henson credited them both with developing much of the humor and character of his Muppets. Henson and Oz developed a close friendship and a performing partnership that lasted until Henson's death. Their teamwork was particularly evident in their portrayals of Bert and Ernie, Kermit and Miss Piggy, and Kermit and Fozzie Bear. In New York City, Henson formed a partnership with Bernie Brillstein, who managed Henson's career until the puppeteer's death. In the years that followed, more performers joined Henson's team, including Jerry Nelson, Richard Hunt, Dave Goelz, Steve Whitmire, Fran Brill, and Kevin Clash. In 1964, him and his family moved to Greenwich, Connecticut, where they lived until 1971, when they moved to Bedford, New York. Henson's talk show appearances culminated when he devised Rolf, a piano-playing anthropomorphic dog that became the first Muppet to make regular appearances on the Jimmy Dean Show. Henson was so grateful for this break that he offered Jimmy Dean a 40% interest in his production company, but Dean declined, stating that Henson deserved all the rewards for his own work. Decision of conscience that Dean never regretted. From 1963 to 1966, Henson began exploring filmmaking and produced a series of experimental films. His 9-minute experimental film Timepiece was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Live-Action Short Film in 1965. He produced The Cube in 1969. Around this time, he wrote the first drafts of a live-action movie script with Jerry Jewell, which became Tale of Sand. The script remained in the Henson Company archives until it was adapted in the 2012 graphic novel Jim Henson's Tale of Sand. During this time, Henson continued to work with various companies who sought out his Muppets for advertising purposes. Among his clients were Wilson Meats, Royal Crown Cola, Clausen's Bread, LaChoy, and Frito-Lay, which featured an early version of his character Cookie Monster to promote their Munchos line of potato snacks. Like the Wilkins coffee ads of the late 1950s and 1960s, the formula stayed fairly similar. For instance, one of the Clausen's commercials featured Kermit the Frog dangling from a window, while a character named Mac asks him if he bought a loaf of the company's bread. When Kermit says he did not, Mac closes the windows on Kermit's fingers and causes him to fall, suggesting he drop down to the grocery store to buy a loaf.
A loaf. I can see Kermit's face.
Dude, it's so... Sorry, I'm like having a fanboy moment. It's just so cool to hear about, to like read about this dude's life, dude.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
LaChoy.
Dude, it's...
Royal Crown.
Imagine just like making a puppet for fun, dude. Then it just becomes as big
Your
as
job?
it is. Like literally, it stood the test of time.
Right.
Like they just had one of the other reasons why I wanted to do this episode is because of the special they just dropped for the Muppets. they dropped the special. It was fucking huge. Everyone was like, bro, when are we going to get the Muppets back?
Right.
Like, it became, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if when he started, like, really creating the Muppets, I wonder if he knew it was going to become as big as it did. And also, it's, like, kind of sad in a way that, I mean, I'm sure it was big when he died, but, like, he didn't get to stick around to see, like, just how big it actually became. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's kind of sad, but I feel like that...
I mean, obviously, I grew up watching Sesame Street, and I was 2 or 3 when Sesame Street was already out, but I was already, like 3 or 4 when it came out, so I just watched Sesame Street all the time. So I remember when they started the Muppet Show, but when the Muppet movie came out, the show was big. But when the Muppet movie came out in '79 or whenever it came out, it was probably one of the biggest movies. Everybody went to see that movie.
Yes.
Like families, kids, teenagers, everybody went to see the Muppet movie. So he definitely was around, for when the show was at its height. And I think he's responsible for the show being at its height. More, and obviously then I know you're continuing the story, but he definitely knew what it had become. Like,
Yeah.
there was no doubt in my mind. Like,
Well, that's good, at least.
for sure. I mean,
at least he knew before.
yeah.
He died.
And he had to know, like, and it stayed true to his initial vision, which is amazing.
Yeah, I will say I do. That's one of the things you'll hear a lot, especially like I mean, I'm sure when he sold the rights to the Muppets to Disney, they obviously they weren't as big as they are now. But you hear a lot of that shit as people. A lot of people always worry. Like, that's what a lot of people's criticism were when they sold the MCU to Disney. Like, that they're worried that they were gonna, they were gonna ruin like what made it great. So I will give them props for that. Where I feel like for the most part, all the stuff that Disney's done with the Muppets, they've stayed true to what Jim Henson originally wanted it to be, which is nice.
He started the process of selling it to Disney, and then he died. Like, what, 89, 90? When I don't know if you got to that part. But like, so I know that he was initially in the conversations, but then obviously you have the story better than I do. So.
Yeah, that's all right. So in 1969, television producer Joan Gans Cooney and her staff at the Children's Television Workshop were impressed by the quality and creativity of the Henson-led team, so they asked Henson and his staff to work full-time on Sesame Street, a children's program for public television that premiered on National Education Television on November 10th, 1969. Part of the show was set aside for a series of funny, colorful puppet characters living on Sesame Street, including Grover, Cookie Monster, Bert and Ernie, Oscar the Grouch, and Big Bird. Henson performed the characters of Ernie, game show host Guy Smiley, and Kermit, who often appeared as a roving television news reporter. Henson's Muppets initially appeared separately from the realistic segments on the street, but the show was revamped to integrate the two segments, placing much greater emphasis on Henson's work. Cooney frequently praised Henson's work, and PBS called him the spark that ignited our fledgling broadcast service. The success of Sesame Street was also allowed him to stop producing commercials, and he said it was a pleasure to get out of that world. Henson was also involved in producing various shows and animation inserts during the first 2 seasons. He produced a series of counting films for the numbers 1 through 10, which always ended with a baker, voiced by Henson, falling down the stairs while carrying the featured number of desserts. He also worked on a variety of inserts for the number 2 through 12, including the films Dollhouse, Number 3 Ball Film, the stop-motions King of 8 and Queen of 6, and the cutout animation 11 Cheer, and the film Nobody Counts to 10. He also directed the original C is for Cookie and Tales from Muppetland, a short series of TV movie specials that were comic retellings of classic fairy tales aimed at a young audience and hosted by Kermit the Frog. The series included Hey Cinderella, The Frog Prince, and the Muppet Musicians of Bremen. Henson, Oz, and his team were concerned that the company was becoming a typecast slowly as purveyors of children's entertainment, so they targeted an adult audience with a series of sketches on the first season of late-night television variety show Saturday Night Live.
Huh.
That's crazy that the very first special guest of Saturday Night Live was Jim Henson and the Muppets. That's fucking wild. Well, I mean, not the very first guest, you know what I mean, but like in the very first season of SNL.
Right.
Like, because I'm sure SNL at the time had to be like a very like experimental thing, you know what I mean? And to like take that experiment and then be like, oh, you know what? We're also gonna experiment by having a whole sketch hosted by Muppets.
Just imagine having Miss Piggy and Kermit and the two old guys.
Stanford, what is it?
Statler and Waldorf.
Statler and Waller, that's it. 11 Land of Gorge sketches were aired between October 1975 and January 1976 on NBC, with 4 additional appearances in March, April, May, and September 1976. Henson liked Lorne Michaels' work and wanted to be a part of it, but he ultimately concluded that what we were trying to do and what his writers could write for it never gelled. The SNL writers were not comfortable writing for the characters and frequently disparaged Henson's creations. Michael O'Donoghue quipped, "I won't write for Felt." Well, look how that turned out for you. Blew up in your face, dummy. Henson then began developing a Broadway show and a weekly television series, both featuring the Muppets. The American networks rejected the series in 1976, believing that the Muppets would appeal only to a child audience. Then, Henson pitched the show to British impresario Lou Grade to finance the show. The show would be shot in the United Kingdom and syndicated worldwide. The same year, he scrapped plans for his Broadway show and moved his creative team to England, where The Muppet Show began taping at ATV Elstree Studios in Hertfordshire. The show featured Kermit as host, with a variety of prominent characters, notably Miss Piggy, Gonzo the Great, and Fozzie Bear. In addition to its large cast of supporting characters such as the Muppet Musicians, Dr. Teeth, and the Electric Mayhem, with their chaotic drummer, Animal.
Hell yeah.
Henson's teammates sometimes compared his role to that of Kermit, a shy, gentle boss with a whim of steel, who ran things like an explosion in a mattress factory. Carol Spinney, who performed as Big Bird. What the hell?
Jeez, Rich, this place is haunted as hell.
Carol Spinney, who performed as Big Bird, remembered that Henson would never say he did not like something. He would just go, and if he liked it, he would say, lovely. Henson recognized Kermit as an alter ego, though he thought that Kermit was bolder than he. Henson once said of the character, "He can say things I hold back." What are you doing over there, man? What are you trying to do, ASL? You trying to do ASL for this the
I'm
episode?
trying to bring back the spirits of light over here. This place is haunted.
The Muppets appeared in their first theatrical feature film, The Muppet Movie, in 1979. It was both a critical and financial success. It made $65.2 million domestically and was the 61st highest-grossing film at the time. Henson's idol, Edgar Bergen, died at the age 75 during the production of the film, and Henson dedicated it to his memory. Henson as Kermit sang Rainbow Connection, and it hit number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Song. The Henson directed The Great Muppet Caper followed, and then Henson decided to end The Muppet Show to concentrate on making films. Though the Muppets characters continued to appear in television movies, and specials, Henson also aided in others in their work. During the development of The Empire Strikes Back, George Lucas asked him to aid makeup artist Stuart Freeburn in the creation and articulation of Yoda. Lucas had also wanted Henson to puppeteer the character, but Henson instead suggested Frank Oz for the role. Oz performed the role and continued in the subsequent Star Wars films. Lucas lobbied unsuccessfully to have Oz nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. In 1982, Henson founded the Jim Henson Foundation to promote and develop the art of puppetry in the United States Around that time, he began creating darker and more realistic fantasy films that did not feature the Muppets and displayed a growing, brooding interest in mortality. He co-directed The Dark Crystal with Oz, trying to go toward a sense of realism toward a reality of creatures that are actually alive. To provide a visual distinct from the Muppets, the puppets in Dark Crystal were based on the conceptual artwork by Brian Froud, and it was a critical success, winning several industry awards, including the Saturn Award for Best Fantasy Film and the grand prize winner at the Airvorias Fantastic Film Festival. The film was less financially successful in theaters, but later claimed an enormous following and revenue when it was introduced on VHS for home entertainment. Also in 1982, Henson co-founded Henson International Television with Peter Orton and Sophie Turner-Lang as his partners. The company was a distribution company. Sorry. My brain went mush for a second. Distribution company for children's, teens, and family television. Henson worked with Oz again on The Muppets Take Manhattan, this time with Oz as sole director. The film grossed $25.5 million domestically on a budget of only around $8 million and is ranked as one of the top 40 films of 1984. The Labyrinth was a fantasy that Henson directed by himself, but despite some positive reviews, the New York Times called it a fabulous film. It was a commercial disappointment. This demoralized Henson, and his son Brian Henson described it as the closest I've ever seen him to turning in on himself and getting quite depressed. The film later became a cult success. In 1984, Henson traveled to Moscow, where he made a film about Sergei Obraztsov. Henson also donated 4 dolls to the puppeteer to replenish the Moscow Museum of puppets. He gave them Fraggle, Sketsky, Beauregard, and Robin the Frog. One of the show's guests and the Henson archivist points out that Jim Henson played a special importance on meeting Obraztsov. As a teenager learning to make puppets, Jim checked out some books from his public library for instruction. One was Obraztsov's 1950 book, My Profession. Henson continued creating children's television such as Fraggle Rock and the animated Muppet Babies. He also continued to address darker, more mature themes with the folklore mythology-oriented show The Storyteller, which won an Emmy for Outstanding Children's Program. The next year, he returned to television with the Jim Henson Hour, which mixed lighthearted Muppet fare with more risque material. It was critically well received and won him another Emmy for Outstanding Directing in a variety or music program, but it was canceled after 12 episodes due to poor ratings. Henson blamed its failure on NBC's constant rescheduling. In late 1989, Henson entered into negotiations to sell his company and characters, excluding those from Sesame Street, to the Walt Disney Company for $150 million, hoping that he would be able to spend more time on the creative side of things, with Disney handling business matters. By 1990, he had completed production on the television special The Muppets at Walt Disney World and the Disney MGM Studios attraction Muppet Vision 3D, and he was developing a film ideas and television series entitled Muppet High. Crazy story, too, just to put it kind of in context for you. The Muppet Vision 3D just closed this year, I believe. It was either this year or last year.
Yep.
Just finally closed down and they replaced it with something else. So that's how long it stayed. That's how long it lasted, from 1990 to now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
People were pissed, too. I remember people were like going on there. There was people on there like legit crying that they're taking Muppet Vision 3D down. They said it was like iconic. But you know how Disney is, man. Out with the old and with the new. Henson and fellow puppeteer Jane Nebel were married in 1959, my bad. in a small ceremony at Jane's family home. They had 5 children: Lisa, Cheryl, Brian, John, and Heather Henson. Henson and his wife legally separated in 1986, but never divorced. While he had a few short relationships with other women, he remained close to Jane for the rest of his life. Jane said that Henson was so involved with his work that he had very little time to spend with her or their children. His children began working with Muppets at an early age, partly because one of the best ways of being around Jim was to work with him, according to Cheryl. Henson was also a strong supporter of the civil rights movement. Henson took an interest in the Seth material by Jane Roberts, a series of mystical, philosophical documents which Roberts claimed to have received via supernatural means.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was one of us. One of us. One of us. Brian J. Jones reports in Jim Henson, the biography, on July 30th, 1974, Henson drove to Elmira, New York,
Really?
to pay his respects to Roberts and her husband. I find this inspired material very beautiful, Jim said of the Seth material. It puts everything in a harmonious totality, and that I just love. Henson's final television appearance was on with Kermit on the Arsenio Hall show in Los Angeles on May 4th, 1990. Shortly afterwards, he privately disclosed to his publicist that he was tired and he had a sore throat, but he believed it was just a minor illness. On May 12th, Henson traveled to Ahoskie, North Carolina, with his daughter Cheryl to visit his father and stepmother. They returned to their home in New York City the following day. Due to his ill health, Henson canceled a Muppet recording session that had been planned for the next day, May 14th. Henson was having trouble breathing when he woke up around 2 a.m. on May 15th and he began coughing up blood. He suggested to his wife that he might be dying, but he did not want to take time out of his schedule to visit a hospital, feeling that the illness would resolve on its own. 2 hours later, Henson agreed to be taken by taxi to an emergency room at New York Presbyterian Hospital in Manhattan. Shortly after admission, he stopped breathing and was rushed into an intensive care unit. X-ray images of his chest revealed multiple abscesses in both of his lungs as a result of previous streptococcal pharyngitis, which is basically just strep throat, right? Yeah. I think it's just strep throat.
I had that when I was 16.
Yeah, it's basically just strep throat.
My throat was on fire.
He had apparently had it for at least the past few days. Henson was then placed on a ventilator, but quickly deteriorated over the next several hours despite increasingly aggressive treatment with multiple antibiotics. Although the medicine killed off most of the infection, it had already weakened many of Henson's organs. And at 1:21 a.m. the following day, Henson died at the age of 53. David Gelmont, the hospital's intensive care unit director, initially announced that Henson had died from Streptococcus pneumoniae, a bacterium that causes bacterial pneumonia. However, by May 29th, Gelmont reclassified the cause of death as organ dysfunction resulting from tropicoccal toxic shock syndrome, caused by Streptococcus pyogenes. Gelmont noticed that Henson might have been saved that he had gone to the hospital just a few hours sooner. Medicine reporter Lawrence D. Altman of the New York Times also stated that Henson's death may have shocked many Americans who believed that bacterial infections no longer could kill with such swiftness. A lack of common familiarity with fast-developing bacterial infections combined with the recent AIDS-related deaths of several prominent men, including Rock Hudson, Liberace, and Roy Cohn, led to a false, widespread rumor that Henson died of AIDS. This rumor was swiftly and directly refuted by Gelmont. Frank Oz believed the stress of negotiating with Disney contributed to Henson's death, stated in a 2021 interview, "The Disney deal is probably what killed Jim. It made him sick. His remains were cremated, and in 1992 his ashes were scattered near Taos, New Mexico. News of Henson's death spread quickly, and admirers of his work responded from around the world with tributes and condolences. Many of Henson's co-stars and directors from Sesame Street, The Muppets, and other works also shared their thoughts on his death. Numerous outlets covered his death alongside that of Sammy Davis Jr., who died the same day. On May 21st, 1990, Henson's public memorial service was conducted in Manhattan at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. Another was conducted on July 2nd at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. At the former Harry Belafonte sang "Turn the World Around," a song that he had debuted on The Muppet Show, as each member of the congregation waved a brightly colored foam butterfly attached to a puppet performer's rod. Later, Big Bird, performed by Carol Spinney, walked onto the stage and sang Kermit's signature song, Being Green, while fighting back tears. Dave Goelz, Frank Oz, Kevin Clash, Steve Whitmire, Jerry Nelson, and Richard Hunt sang a melody of Henson's favorite song in their characters' voices, ending with a performance of just one person while performing their Muppets. In accordance with Henson's wishes, no one in attendance wore black, and the Dirty Dozen Brass Band finished the service by performing When the Saints Go Marching In.
When the Saints.
The funeral was described by Life as an epic and almost unbearably moving event. The Jim Henson Company and the Jim Henson Foundation continued after his death, producing new series and specials. Jim Henson's Creature Shop also continues to create characters and special effects for both Henson-related and outside projects. Steve Whitmire, who had joined the Muppets cast in 1978, began performing Kermit the Frog 6 months after Henson's death. He was dismissed from the cast in October 2016, and Matt Vogel succeeded him in the role of Kermit. The Children's Television Workshop was renamed Sesame Workshop, which retained the Sesame Street characters in 2001. On February 17, 2004, the Muppets and the Bear in the Big Blue House properties were sold to Disney. Oh, I didn't know he created Bear in the Big Blue House.
Bear in the Blue House was really a good show. That was the first
show.
That was the first Disney Muppet, Jim Henson Workshop collab, and basically the way Blue worked, same way Big Bird worked, like with the a full size character, with the arm up here, and there's the whole system. It was a really good show. My kids loved that. I still have like the little Bear in the Big Blue House, and it was really good. It was a really, really good Disney / Muppet Show thing. I mean, it was good. The songs were really good, and the characters were really good, and it felt like the Muppets, but it just was like completely unrelated. They had a really I remember they did an episode about like a dog that was dying, and it was like the dog passes away, so it had that Sesame Street Muppet Show quality of like serious stuff, but also a lot of just fun, silly things. It was great. It was a great show.
Yo, question.
Yep.
Who could win in a fight, the Muppets or Sesame Street?
I don't think they would fight each other, man.
Bullshit.
They're all created by the same guy.
Bullshit. Who will win?
Well, I mean, we got it was like celebrity deathmatch style here.
Yes, it is.
So I think we got to do you got to pick somebody Miss Piggy versus Oscar type of thing.
I'm not going Oscar against the Weed Nugget against the pig.
I'm going.
Miss Piggy can pretty much kick everybody's ass, right? Animal can pretty much kick everybody's ass, right? I don't think Fozzie kick anybody's ass.
Wait.
Mr. Snuffleupagus is freaking huge. You just step on everybody.
I'm going.
But the Muppets had the chef, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, the Swedish Chef.
The Swedish chef.
Swedish Chef, man.
With human hands.
Yes. And
sure.
Does any Sesame Street have a knife or a weapon?
Yeah.
It's a children's show.
Oscar
better
Grouch.
not.
Oscar Grouch has a weapon.
I got a great one. I'm going Sweetums
Sweetums
Big
seems
Bird.
like he could kick everybody's
Versus
ass.
Big Bird.
Yeah,
That's the
Sweetums-
battle for the century.
Sweetums
right
seems
there.
like he's pretty tough, right?
Dude,
He could be like a
underrated,
wrestler.
underrated Muppet right there, Sweetums.
How about Kermit the Frog versus? Hey, I'm Elmo.
Well,
almost too much of a pacifist?
Yeah,
I think.
almost-
I think Kermit,
almost
I think
5 years
Kermit's
old,
kicking
man.
that
Like,
ass.
He shouldn't be fighting. He's 5 years old, man.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, I'm an Ernie and Bert guy. Like I grew up watching Ernie and Bert. To this day, I still love Ernie and Bert. Like
Yeah, I would say that's my favorite Sesame Street character.
they were
Mine's
their
probably the Count.
their bits. If you watch some of the Ernie and Bert bits, like they're as good as any comedy duo.
I got my rubber
You know,
ducky.
Is that were out there. Like
I think-
they were incredibly well written comedy bits.
I think for Sesame Street, mine's probably Count. I love that guy.
The Count's
Yeah, I like
great.
how he was just like kind of like mentally insane,
Yeah.
kind of.
He's like, there's two Ken. One, two,
I love that guy.
There's
He's
three.
Like I remember, like I
Cookie
watched
Monster was my
that show
favorite
as
one.
a kid, and I remember like tuning back in because Mr. Hopper was an old guy who ran like a real human, ran like Mr. Hopper's store, and he died, and so a few months later they did an episode where they had addressed that Mr. Hopper had died, and everybody watched that because we all grew up watching Mr. Hopper, and like Big Bird didn't understand, like so they used it as a way of educating kids about how to deal with death. Like I mean, we were I was very emotional about like Mr. Hopper passing away. Like and that was a combination of Sesame Street and the Muppets. I mean, but yeah, the Muppets. But the thing about the Muppet Show, being a kid watching the Muppet Show, my parents watched it with me. I would beg my dad to skip baseball so I could watch the Muppet Show because baseball and the Muppet Show was both on Tuesdays at 7, and I get so mad that I have to miss it. But I remember like every celebrity. It was like Saturday Night Live now. Like how whoever the biggest star is going to be on like Saturday Night Live. The biggest star was on the Muppet Show. Like Steve Martin, like Sylvester Stallone after a Rocky movie. Like all the biggest I think like Gene Kelly. Like the biggest stars in the world all wanted to be on the Muppet Show as the guest star. And it was a fun way of just kind of and it was just always fun to see the way these famous people would just interact with the Muppets, just like they were regular actors. And that's why I think the Muppet movie hit so well, because there are so many celebrities in the Muppet movie that it was just, and that trend has continued with obviously the Muppet, the Muppet.
The special they just had?
Yeah, the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff.
Treasure Island. That's one of
Treasure
my favorite
Island,
ones.
with what's his
I
face?
love Muppets Treasure Island.
Muppet Treasure Island's really good.
That's a great one.
And we can't forget Christmas special every year. Emmett Otter,
And
watch
good
that?
one. Yeah,
Jug Band Christmas
Yeah, my mom. That's one of my mom's favorites.
was my favorite too.
my
yeah,
mom
that's a
loves
good
that.
one.
Yeah.
Especially if you ever watched the bloopers of that. There's some really funny bloopers, where the actors, where the Muppets are they're doing their own bloopers in the sense that like if something goes wrong, the puppeteers stayed in character. So Google it, look for it on YouTube. There's some hilarious bloopers but it's not the actors. It's the actual. They stay in character even during the bloopers, and it's hilarious.
I think I like the Muppets Christmas Carol.
It's a good one.
With legendary. Who was the guy who played Scrooge?
Oh, Michael Caine?
Michael Caine's great in that movie.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he's retired now.
Yeah, he just retired.
He retired from acting.
Yeah, sure. Retired.
No, he
from
did
acting.
for real. He's like 90 something, right?
Yeah,
He was
sure.
in
pretty
his,
old.
he was in his 90s, and I think the last thing he did was I think the last active role he did was he was a voice in Dunkirk, because he did all those movies with Nolan, and I think that was his last role, because he was in every Nolan movie until Dunkirk. I think that's the last one he was in.
My favorite live action Alfred right there, Michael Caine.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic live action Alfred. I just want a few little tidbits of things I've been reading here. It's
Well,
kinda
before
cool.
you continue with your tidbits. Motherfucker, I'm gonna use Big Bird's string to push you down the flight of stairs.
What are you talking about, man? Are you losing your mind? You okay, man?
Yeah, man.
Ever seen those memes where like they should just do all movies, but just the Muppet version of it? Like,
People
just
are
like,
campaigning very hard right now for the next Knives Out movie to be just Muppets,
except
for Daniel Craig.
Except for Daniel Craig
Yeah.
and the rest of me Muppets.
Yeah.
I'd go to the theaters for
People
that.
are campaigning very
that'd be
hard for
great.
it right
Like
now.
that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I'll watch that.
That's
I'd watch
freaking
it too.
hilarious.
That'd be great.
That'd be great. That would.
And then some other people are like, "Oh, you can't do that because like Muppets supposed to be for kids." But like, just like Jim Henson said when he was creating them, it wasn't meant to just be for kids.
It's family comedy. It's
Yeah,
not
it's meant to
like
be for
it's not
everybody.
children's programming. It's the Muppet Show was not, like that's that I mean yes, it wasn't like you weren't going to have, Mr. Kermit and Miss Piggy going at it like, but at the same time maybe swearing, but at the same time like it's family stuff. But it's not children's stuff. There's a big difference. The Sesame Street's children's stuff obviously.
Yes. Which we had back then we had the best. We had the Electric Company.
Yep.
Sesame Street.
Yep.
And Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yep.
It was like 3 hours. I was glued to the TV. Then we had Happy Days.
There's a guy I work with. I call him Mr. Rogers because he's like the literally nicest guy alive, probably. I always call him Mr. Rogers.
Yo, I like Mr. Rogers.
Me too. That was a goated show.
You know what? Another good show.
He was the
I really didn't
he was
like.
the
I
man.
didn't watch a little bit. Lamb Chop. Or that song that never ends.
Or Mr. Green Jeans and Mr.
Mr. Dress Up.
Kangaroo. Captain Kangaroo.
Yeah, Mr. No. Is it Mr. Kang? No. Captain Kangaroo. He was
Yeah.
a captain.
Yeah,
I don't know who he was a
Captain
captain of, but he was Captain Kangaroo. But I mean, all those shows, that all started. I mean, obviously there was children's programming, even locally at Commander Tom and, Rocket Ship 7 and all
Right.
those shows. But I mean, like, to be honest, I don't think it was mainstream until Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street.
Yeah.
All the other ones were basically, kind of copies of those two.
Yeah.
Those were the two big ones.
I got even more of a throwback for you. Zaboomafoo.
What was that?
Zaboomafoo.
Boomafoo was a good one. I
love
love
that show, dude. That was my shit. When
I wanted to
was
punch those two brothers in the face, though. They were so fucking
a kid.
obnoxious.
Literally the worst.
They were like, "Hey, woo, let's go!" It was like
They were
way
the
over the
worst.
top. Like,
Yeah.
like. I love the way it was. Like, he was sometimes a puppet,
Yeah.
and then
That's
sometimes he
a
was
real
an
monkey.
actual whatever lemur or whatever the fuck.
Or
he
yeah,
was.
lemur.
Like,
That's what it was. Yeah.
but he was like, they'd have the lemur running around, but occasionally he was a puppet that could talk. It was like they did cool transitions between the lemur and the actual puppet lemur.
Real quick, I was just scrolling through just to see like what other tidbits they on this. I thought this was pretty cool. We mentioned how the Muppets 3D Vision 3D just closed last year. Apparently, Disney gave all of the cast members one last chance to view the show before they shut it down. So that's pretty cool. And then also thought this was pretty cool. They Henson was honored with a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, both as himself and as Kermit the Frog.
That's cool.
And there's only been 3 other people that have received this honor, which is Walt Disney as himself and as Mickey Mouse, Mel Blanc as himself and Bugs Bunny, and Mike Myers as himself and Shrek.
Okay,
So that's pretty cool.
that's cool.
Yeah. And then Henson was also inducted in the Television Hall of Fame in 1987. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, and The Muppets Christmas Carol are both dedicated to his memory.
Okay.
There is a Jim Henson exhibit located in Leland, Mississippi, features an assortment of original Muppets characters, official certificates from the Mississippi legislature, honoring Henson and his characters, and a statue of Kermit in the middle of the stream behind the museum. The 1990 television special, The Muppets Celebrate Jim Henson, allowed the Muppets themselves to pay tribute to Henson. The special featured an interview with Steven Spielberg and others. The classes of 1994, 1998, and 1999 at the University of Maryland, College Park, Henson's alma mater, commissioned a life-size statue of Jim Henson and Kermit the Frog, which was dedicated to him on September 24th, 2003, on what would have been Henson's 67th birthday. The statue costs $217,000 and is displayed outside Maryland Student Union. In the 2006, the University of Maryland introduced 50 statues of its school mascot, Testudo the Terrapin, with various designs chosen by different sponsoring groups. Among them was Curdle, a statue designed to look like Kermit the Frog by Washington, D.C. based artist Elizabeth Baldwin. That's pretty cool. On August 9th, 2011, Jim Henson posthumously received the Disney Legends Award. Two of his characters, Kermit the Frog and Rolf the Dog, performed Rainbow Connection in his honor. On September 24th, 2011, which would have been Jim Henson's 75th birthday, Mississippi town Leland renamed a local bridge the Rainbow Connection to honor Henson and his work. He was also honored with a Google Doodle to commemorate his 75th birthday. The Google logo had 6 Muppets that were clickable using the hand buttons. So that's pretty cool. In 2015, a new genus and species of Cretaceous-aged fossil frog from Canada, Henson Bracteus kermiti, was named in honor of Henson and Kermit the Frog. Nice. In 2018, the American Banjo Museum inducted Henson into its Hall of Fame for his positive portrayal of the banjo in his shows and in the Muppet movie. In 2020, the 1979 song Rainbow Connection from the Muppet movie, performed by Henson as Kermit, was deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress and selected for preservation in the National Recording Registry. Cool. There's an area outside of Studio 6B at NBC's Rockefeller Center's headquarters in New York City includes a set of pipes that Henson and his team puppeteers had painted while waiting to perform on the Jack Paar Show in 1964. While the artwork has been preserved over time, Henson showed it to Gene Shalit on Today in 1980, and Paar took David Letterman over to see it during an appearance on the Late Night, which taped across the hall. It was not until Jimmy Fallon, host of the studio's current Tonight Show, brought it up that NBC officially made the pipes part of its studio tour. Frank Oz attended the ribbon-cutting exhibit in 2010. That's cool, man. Shout out to Jim Henson, man. Lived on forever.
Kermit was on Jimmy Kimmel to promote the special that they brought back.
Oh, yeah.
And that was great. Like, he was so funny. Like, and they asked him, like, he asked something about Miss Piggy or, you know, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, nah, she watches Fallon. Like, it was great. But it was like, how cool would it be to be just zinged by Kermit the Frog, right? Like,
that'd be great.
That just, you know, or even like I remember like watching the old Johnny Carson show a couple times. Like, I think Kermit actually hosted the Tonight Show once. One of the times that like Johnny Carson was on vacation or whatever it was, I think Jim Henson as Kermit hosted the Tonight Show, which must have, I mean, that's just like iconic stuff. Like, you know, that's the difference between, say, you know, because Mickey Mouse, yeah, there's a guy walking around in a costume at the park, but like he's an animated character where you can interact with the Muppets, like,
yeah.
And I even like now when you watch Sesame Street now, and like Ted Lasso, what's his face who plays Roy Kent. He's a huge Muppet fan. Like, he's a ridiculous Muppet fan. So he was on Sesame Street as Roy Kent, like, basically. You know, like, what's your favorite letter? F. F's my favorite letter. You know, like, so obviously, and that's great, because as an adult, we know what he means by F. No, C. It was C, because, like, you know, the English word that, you know, they say all the time in England, but we don't say it too much in the United States.
Yeah.
Rhymes
See you
with
next
hunt.
Tuesday.
And but it was like he was on with Cookie Monster, and he's like, you know, Cookie's favorite letter is C. You know, what's your favorite letter? He goes, it's my favorite letter is C as well. It's my favorite word. And but it's great because little kids don't know, but all the adults are watching it because we love. But again, he's a Muppet fan, and he's like, what a huge star now. So it's how many people just grew up in Muppets were so important to them. Like,
Yeah,
it's cool.
I think that's probably one of my favorite things also about just like the Muppet. I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it too. Is just like the fact that it's really stood the test of time. Like
Yes.
almost every single person you meet knows of the Muppets, likes the Muppets, will tell you what their favorite Muppet is. A lot of you know what I mean. Like it really, like Jim Henson really created something that really it's probably gonna live on forever. And I mean, that's awesome, dude. Because then in a way he'll never really be forgotten, which is cool. And one of my favorite things, Muppet related, which is a little newer because it's from the Muppet movie they made in like 2011, I think it was, with Jason Segel. When him and his Muppet brother Walter go to try and save the Muppets. I love how, like, the whole thing is like them trying to like save the Muppet Show, and and it's like they get to the end and they're like, oh shit, well we couldn't do it, and then Kermit's like, well, you know what, we got no reason to be upset. We tried and we got back together, and that's what's important. And they open the door and literally the streets are flooded with people like saying, I can't believe the Muppets are back. We love you. And it's just like, it's such a feel-good moment because it's like, man, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's got to be that way for the performers, too, to know that, like, people still care about this all these years later.
Yeah, you see some of the memes, like, Kermit was working at a butcher in either Fozzie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, how's the missus? Oh, well, she's doing all right. And he points down at the picture.
Like, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, the Muppets are just, they're everywhere. It's huge. It's such a big thing, and it always will be. And I think that's, I think shit like that's awesome, man. I love that type of shit.
I wish they would make more. That little teaser.
Well, I mean, that was the point of the special, was to hopefully convince Disney that there's an audience for it so that they can bring back the Muppet
It was
Show.
huge too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
they
it blew
did
up.
that did incredibly well.
Oh yeah,
So I wouldn't be surprised.
I'd be-
Disney's gonna. I think they'll bring it back.
Disney'd
as,
be
like,
stupid not to bring
yeah,
it back.
I mean,
that's a gold mine.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll just do. I don't think it's gonna be like a regular thing. I think you'll get a special maybe every couple months, and I'd be fine with that. I don't need to see it. Like, it doesn't need to be on every week or a streaming thing where it's like 6 episodes at a time. Just do them every couple months. Just have a cool episode. I mean,
Yeah.
and just do what they did, because the show that it just felt like the old show. It didn't feel like they made any attempt to modernize it at all. They just kept the charm of it, the silliness of it.
Yeah,
and
it was very chaotic too, like it used to be, where it was like they're like running around the entire time, not knowing if it's gonna work, and
somehow
then
Kermit's trying to.
and it becomes.
But even
like,
the
it's
intro, when you obviously appreciate the intro where Kermit's walking around getting his coffee and you hear the piano playing, and then like, Ralph, have you been playing the piano the whole time? He's like, yeah, what'd you think? It was like an internet, whatever he said, like some highfalutin term, I didn't realize Ralph the dog was that old of a character that has been around, like,
love
even
Ralph,
predate
man.
Sesame Street. I didn't realize that.
I like too in the 2011 movie they made when they go back to the Muppet Studio and they're like cleaning up and shit, and Scooter goes to like open the door, and Beauregard, the janitor, and he's like, oh, Scooter, and he's like, Beauregard, you've been here the whole time, and he's like, I was wondering where everybody was. And he's literally just been in the closet cleaning the entire time they've been gone.
Yeah, that's
It's great,
hilarious.
dude. It's
Yo, I can't
I
wait
love
till the
that
next
shit.
episode of The Pit.
oof.
It's getting good.
What happened last week? I
What
forgot.
hour are we on?
What hour where somebody actually blew his
Oh
head
yeah,
off?
that's right. The clip for next episode, they finally have an actual hand injury, firework injury.
Because I don't want to look at my head. I don't want to look at my head.
Yeah,
Well, I love the fact
hyped.
they have to go old school and they don't have computers and
Yeah.
it's just.
Did someone take a picture? Yeah.
I got it.
It's like the
Can't read it.
blurriest picture
That's
ever.
that scene where Roddy and Langdon
Abbott.
end up in
Langdon,
the
yeah.
elevator.
Yeah.
That was just heartbreaking. Like when he told him, "I'm glad you got help" or whatever, but like I don't think you should be in my ER. Like that was just so heartbreaking. Like we all love Langdon, but
I
then
hate
right
Langdon.
after that, like those two girls with the same name showed up, and they're like, "It's the hot doctor." That was great, but it was just like, that was like heartbreaking when he was like, and then how awkward it is for him to try to perform now. And obviously it somehow was going to work out because they're not going to.
Somebody floated an idea that they think, how Robbie keeps like mentioning how his buddy was supposed to show up or whatever. Somebody thinks that something's going to happen where like his buddy got into like a motorcycle accident or something. He's going to come into the ER And they said they think that's what's going to happen is like Langdon's going to be the one to like comfort him basically.
It's going to be something along those lines because
Yeah.
the fact that he hasn't heard from his friend is
Yeah.
kind of ominous.
Wait, here's
You
a
know.
question. Why are you having a hearing on July 4th? That doesn't make no sense.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I
Oh
think
yeah,
is
that's
kind
right.
of
In
a,
the preview, her sister also comes in this episode.
Because she had a stomach ache.
Oof. Uh-oh.
yeah,
Something bad's going to happen there.
yeah,
too, I
that's
think.
that's the only thing that doesn't make any sense that they would have a hearing on the
Yeah.
4th of July.
Who's the
that's-
doctor with the curly hair that has no bedside manner?
Ogilvy?
Ogilvy.
I need somebody to punch that guy in his face as hard as possible.
Well, I love the fact that he was like acting like he was so cool, and then the short woman, like who's got the
Giotti or whatever?
yeah
Dr. Giotti?
the other
Oh,
one that joined
Joy?
it, that's got the
photographic
memory,
memory? Yeah.
and he was like wait like he was so like he thought he was so cool, and then she just outshined him. That was great. So I kind of put him in his place because that's what they do on that show. They don't let the cocky characters end up like being cocky too long because life gets you, which is cool.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for the Sanchez. I'm waiting for that backstory for Sanchez now.
Santos?
Yeah, whatever.
How you
Santos.
going to like to show you don't even know the names?
The overnight guy, what's the overnight doctors who shows up
Abbott?
like on the SWAT team or whatever?
Yeah, Abbott,
That
Dr.
guy's
Abbott.
great. That
Yeah, I
guy's a
love that
really
guy.
good like a really good actor. That guy was so good when he showed up.
Sean Haddisy.
Yeah, he's really
Great
good.
actor. Yeah. Yeah, that show's great, dude. But, yeah, I guess we can wrap it up here. That's good, right? Yeah. So obviously, real quick, again, I just wanted to mention, Devon. Make sure you guys share his story. Get it out there. Hopefully, the right people see it so we can get this guy some help, Nobody, nobody should have to be worried about, leaving behind their 3 young daughters. So, shout out to Devon and his family. Like I said, that post is on our Facebook page. I pinned it to the top, so it's right there, so you don't have to go looking for it. It's also on my page. I've shared it a couple times now, so it should be on there somewhere. But, yeah, that's all I got to say. Thank you guys for another episode. It was fun. It's always fun to talk about people like Jim Henson. We'll be back next week with, I don't know, something apparently. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what we're going to do yet. I know what the fuck, man.
Yo,
Come on, man. Drop the fucking ball, dude.
Check out your homies. 988. Thanks for all along, Blugers. Catch you on the flip side.
For next week.